mean, I used to post every day, and I swear it's been months, because it's like Zoom, Facebook, posting, the pandemic, vaccinations. I mean, oh my gosh, like, how many of you are just overwhelmed with everything, with all the stuff, with like everything that's happening in the world? It's like continuing, it's moving, it's going. It's like, what is still happening in the world? Check this out. This is interesting. Depression. Depression will be the number one, according to, who is this according to? According to the World Health Organization. And I know you're like, do I trust these people? I don't know. Who do you trust, right? But depression will be the number one cause of burden, the number one cause of burden to every single country in the world by 2030. Think about that. Depression, the number one burden that everybody deals with. How many of you are overwhelmed? And this overwhelm is dangerous because this overwhelm is now leading to this concept of, oh my gosh, it's like it's going to like depression. It's going to angst. It's going to anxiety. It's going to frustration. It's taking on a whole other level. It's going to languishing, right? And languishing is that whole concept between flourishing and depression, but it's like slowly stepping down into that level of depression. Number one cause of burden in the world, like that's a pretty heavy duty thing. So I want you to think in terms, the reason I wanted to come live is I've seen so many people, they're still struggling. They're still having a hard time. The pandemic is still legit. We're still here going through this battle back and forth of this is what you should do or this is what you shouldn't do. It's like, how many of you had an expectation? And you had an expectation that things were going to be different. By this point, things were going to change. I did. I thought back in January 2021, life was going to be different. Guys, it's the end of the summer 2021. How many of you have noticed a dramatic change in the way life is happening for you, for the positive? And for most people, it's not the case. I see more people struggling, and it's stress. It's one more thing to stress about, and one more thing to stress about, and I got one more thing to stress about, and life is still not spectacular. What's going on? What do we do? When does it end? And how hard is it to let go of that expectation? The expectation that things are going to change. How many of you are still waiting for things to go back to normal? How many of you are like, I'm sick and tired of even hearing about it. I don't even want to hear about it anymore. I just want it to go away. I just want stuff to go away and I want it to be better. Like, I'm on board for that. Let me ask you, what if your expectations of life being different are in fact what's holding you back? The expectation that it's supposed to be different. The expectation that it's going to change. The expectation that life is going to go back to some way or some normalcy. What if that expectation is actually messing with every day? It's like if I woke up every day and said, the weather should look like this, and I woke up and the weather looked different, I'm going to get frustrated, disappointed, anger. How many of you are feeling disappointed, frustrated, maybe even some resentment? Maybe it's because the expectation that life is going to change. So what do we do? Like, what's the solution? How do we resolve this? How do we dig in and take this to another level? How do we finally figure this out and get to another place? Happiness, languishing, motivation, community, stress, objections, our business, money, shame, relationships, achieving to be enough, rebelling against things, motivation, excitement, a law of attraction, expectations, defensiveness, offensiveness, getting offended, obligations, taking things too far, vulnerability, authenticity, goals, trauma, emotions, acceptance, mastery. What do all these things have in common? They're all things that we're going to cover in an upcoming event called The Power of You. Now, we are going to offer to you a phone call, a Zoom call, a Zoom adventure, if you want to call it that, to dig into all of these aspects, all these things I just mentioned, and to take them to another level, because some of you are stuck, stagnant, and you're feeling like the world is stuck and stagnant. Let us help you get to another place. Let us help you move and shift. So we're offering you this free call or this free Zoom event, this Zoom adventure in a few weeks. I'll post the information here. I'd love to see all of you take part in it, because how many of you just had enough? You're done. You're finished. You want more. You know there's more. And you want to rise above this stuff. You want to rise above the emotions that aren't serving you, and you want to get to places that do. So I will post more information about this free Zoom adventure that we're going to be doing in a couple of weeks, and I hope to see you guys there soon. Take care.